Is the wealth gap widening in Australia? Absolutely. It is widening like crazy. I seen a house sold in Strathfield was sold for like $7 or $8 million. Can you please tell me which everyday Australian can afford to buy a $7 or $8 million home in Strathfield? So there are, in my view, three types of property buyers that are happening right now. Overseas investors, which apparently are only 1% or more, Australians deriving income from overseas income sources that allows them to inflate property prices and pay ridiculous amounts of money. The second type of property buyer is basically parents that have significant equity in their property because of the ridiculous property prices that have gone up at their own property. And then we've got the leftovers, which is the everyday Australian that are going to work, going hard, doing their job in, day out. What chance do they have now in owning real estate? Sydney property prices are way above $1 million at minimum. Melbourne's following suit. Brisbane sometimes is even more expensive. And now the Perth market's also climbing up. So what chance does an everyday Australian have to buying property in Australia? And then we look at the migrants like myself. I look at the new migrants coming in. They come into Australia for better lifestyle. But what about the finances? Money is important. You're coming here to go to work. So you go to work. Now you've got a ridiculous mortgage to pay. Interest rates are up. You go to the grocery stores, they're up. You've got to have the husband working, the wife working. What about the kids? The kids are at the childcare center. The childcare is expensive. Your home's vacant that you're paying a massive debt for. You're not even living in that home. And your mortgage is not even getting paid off, because your salary cannot afford to pay that. They're going to take a massive debt, have a job, and never be able to pay that home off. How are they ever going to get into another property? Because they're competing now against buyers, that have significant amount of cash in their pocket from overseas sources, be it them, they might be considered Australian. So I encourage for legislators and for government to actually do something realistic to help the everyday person in Australia to have a chance. And this is the reason I started DDP, is because I was that person some 20 years ago. And I used real estate to get ahead, and I started this business to advise buyers. But it is scarier now. A person like me, at least 15 years ago, was able to buy into the Sydney market. Now I've got zero chance, if I was the newest buyer, to even buy into the Sydney market. So that's why I run DDP, is to help buyers just like myself to find at least some piece of land today or some house today for $200,000 that can be rented, and to get in so that you have some chance before there's going to be absolutely no chance in buying any type of property in Australia unless the government actually do something and reduce the gap.